the subject of bitahon, which is translated as trust in Hashem, is a very, very broad subject, but is one of the most essential subjects and traits for any Jew. It doesn't make a difference where your observance level is. If you're a beginner, you're thinking about being a beginner, as some say, you're Baal Tshuva, I'm thinking about it. Okay, doesn't make a difference where you are in life, bitahon is essential in your life. And the subject which is so essential is something that many people believe that they have or they've acquired, and when they try it, they find that, it doesn't work, it's too hard, it's not for us. Or as some people will tell me, hey Rabbi, listen, you look in the Tanakh, you look in the Torah, you find that some of the greatest Jewish people that ever existed, that ever lived, seem to have lacked this area. How could you tell us that? How could you preach to us that we should have bitahon? So I would like to begin from the beginning as a very, very important thing. We're introducing this concept, we're introducing this class, which is bitahon, with the following. This is not a class, this is not a shi'ur, this is not a series, this is a course. When a person goes to a college or he goes to anything and he takes a course, you can't believe that you've accomplished anything until you finish the course. You must study everything from the beginning till the end. And so too we say with bitahon. Some of the things in bitahon at the beginning may sound like it's fanatical, it's crazy. You expect me, little me, who am I, to sit there and all of a sudden have bitahon, and especially what he's saying, and a lot of things I'm going to tell you will sound bizarre, it sounds like it can be, it's impossible. But that's bitahon really. Bitahon is possible. Bitahon is custom made for you, whoever you are, wherever you are on your level. And you should know, as Rav Dessler points out, bitahon, trust in Hashem, is not only custom made for you, but it's custom made for you at this point of your life. Which means, as we will discuss, there are times when effort is required, and there are times where effort is not required, and sometimes effort will be counter. And those times depend on who you are on a certain level. So therefore, besides studying the subject of bitahon, we have to know also when to apply bitahon and to which situation. We have to understand that these situations will change as we change in life. As we step up higher and become different. Once got something in the mail, they're trying to get my money. That's the bottom line. They're trying to get my money. They send you these things. You want $1 million, or here's the key to success. One of my favorite things is that you always have these guys that come out with a book and says, here is the way to be successful. You want to be successful in life, you must do this. To become rich, you must do this. So, and the book will discuss whatever this person believes that it's going to be successful. And you'll hear about the book. It's a best-selling book. It's sold millions and millions of copies. It's #1 on the best-selling book in the New York Times, and the Boston Times, and all the times. The question is very simple. If it sold so many millions of copies, we should have millions of successful people. We should have millions of wealthy people. But we don't. The reality is that we don't. We don't see millions of successful people. We don't see millions of wealthy people. Obviously, the formula doesn't work for everybody. And since it doesn't work for everybody, so it's not a formula anymore. If just today, right before this class, we had, Baruch Hashem, my toddler. He's 3 years old. When he gets older, he's going to kill me for this, but right now he won't realize. In any case, he took a permanent marker and he went and he colored over the wall. Now these walls are brand new. Brand new means to say they were just painted in October. We're now in January. It's not such a long time. For us, that's brand new. So he takes permanent marker and he goes and he colors all over. And we're going crazy. What are we going to do? Okay, it's a toddler. What are you going to do? Yeah, you're not getting candy. But at the end of the day, we have a permanent marker on the wall. What are we going to do? So we looked it up, how to remove permanent marker from the wall, and it gave us a recipe. Take baking soda and put it in things. In any case, we tried it, and it worked. And you know why it worked? And you know why we looked at it? Because we saw that there was about 130,000 people that looked at the same article, how to remove permanent marker from a wall. If it's a formula and it works, it should work everywhere. If it doesn't work it should be an exception, maybe 2, 3 people, 20, 30 people from the 150,000 people that tried it. If it's a formula, it should work by at least 90% and above. So when you're coming out and you're saying, I have a book, how to be successful. I have a book of how to be wealthy. Here, take it, read it, you'll be wealthy. So from the millions of people, which are maybe a few million people who are wealthy, who are successful, but we don't. Obviously, the formula doesn't work. So there's got to be a different formula. So how does a person accomplish success? How does a person become wealthy? Here is where bitahon kicks in. Bitahon is a formula that when one achieves it, one accomplishes it, he will be successful. What do you find as success? That's a different subject. Will you be wealthy? Well, depends what you call wealthy. Depends what you call rich. Getting everything you want? Would you be happy in life? Yeah. We'll see all the benefits of bitahon as we go throughout the course. Because bitahon really has a lot of benefits. And it works for everybody. You have to know how. What is bitahon? How to apply it to your specific life. And with Be'ezrat Hashem, throughout this course, we will discuss all of this. Not because these are my opinions. If it's my opinion, shut the screen off right now, close the computer, wherever you're watching this, and don't listen to me. Who am I to tell you what success is? And if it worked for me, who said it'll work for you? You know, there's a joke that they say, take it as you like, but in any case, they say there's a man who went into one of those big skyscrapers and he went to a bar all the way on the top floor. He went inside and he walks up to the bar on like the 90th floor, and this bar was beautiful. It was on a balcony overlooking all the whole scenery of the big city. And the person walks over there into the bar and he comes to the bartender. He says, I would like a drink, but I would like something new that I haven't tried before. So one of the guys over there on the side of the bar, he's sitting there with his cup, he's drinking. He turns to the guy, he says, order this drink. Which drink? He tells him this drink. He says, really? Well, what's that drink? How much does it cost? That's the first question, right? Must have been a Jew. In any case, so he tells him, how much does it cost? He tells him, $30. $30 for a shot? He says, I'm telling you, it's magical. If you drink this, you'll be able to fly. He says, no way, I don't believe you. He says, yeah, watch. He tells the bartender, please give me a drink. So that drink, he takes it, $30, takes a sip. He says, okay, let me see you fly. He says, you want to see me fly? Watch. The man who was sitting at the bar, who just drank this sip of whatever shot it was, goes to the balcony on top of the 80-plus floor, gets up on the balcony, jumps off the balcony. In the middle of the air, he does 3 flips and jumps right back onto the balcony. Wow, the guy, I couldn't believe it. Jumps back to the bar. He says, okay, give me that drink, $30 a shot. I don't care, give it to me. Takes a sip, runs out to the balcony. He wants to try. He jumps off the balcony, and he falls all the way down. Unfortunately, he's gone. The man comes back. The man who just did the somersault comes back, and he sits down by the bar. He starts laughing. The bartender cleaning the cup, he says, you become a real mean drunk when you drink Superman, right? The man was Superman. You know why he's able to flip? He's Superman. It works for him. It doesn't work for anybody else. He's Superman. So people, when they come to study bitahon, they say, yeah, it works for you. You're a rabbi. Your head is in the wall. You're a black guy. You're ultra-Orthodox. You're name it. No, bitahon is for everybody. And it works. You just have to know what bitahon is and how and when to apply bitahon. And that's a very big key when it comes to bitahon. So, what am I teaching you? What are we learning? What are we using to learn? The book that we're using to learn is a classical book. It's a book that's written by one of the greats, one of the greatest rabbis in the philosophy, in Jewish philosophy and ethics, known as Rabbeinu Bachya. Now there's 2 Rabbeinu Bachyas. There's Rabbeinu Bachya, or some say Rabbeinu Bechaya. Rabbeinu Bachya from 1,000 years ago, and Rabbeinu Bachya from about 700 years ago. Rabbeinu Bachya from 700 years ago is known as a commentary on the Humash, where he writes in his introduction that his commentary is really based on the commentary of the Ramban, Nachmanides. And Rabbeinu Bachya from 1,000 years ago, that's the Rabbeinu Bachya who authored the classical book of Musa known as Hubot HaLebabot. In Hubot HaLebabot, he writes, he splits up many different what he calls gates, but basically chapters and sections in the book, where he talks about different things of how to serve God. Hubat al-Ibad translates as the obligations of one's heart. How do we serve God with our hearts? There's what we do in action, that's what we know as Shulchan Aruch. You put on tefillin, you put on the talit, you shake lulab, you put on a skirt if you're a woman, you keep kashrut. Those are the mitzvot that you do with action, with your physical body. And then there are mitzvot and there are obligations that one has in his heart towards God, as we would call the neshama of the person, the attitude that person has when he's serving God. That is what the book Hubat al-Ibad is all about. And he has sections in it, and each one discusses a different theme. The section of Bitahon is the fourth section in Hubat al-Ibad. And I want to read you the first line to know what we're going to discuss, that the concept of Bitahon. Aman Mehaber, says the author, referring to himself, he says, since in the previous chapter we discussed the obligation of a person to accept the service of God, that means you have to be ready to come to worship God. I saw that I should bring right after this section a subject that a person needs more than anything to worship God. We're dealing here with a Rishon. A Rishon is a rabbi that preceded the Shulchan Aruch, who lived in the 1500s. And the rule is, when Rishonim write something, every word is counted, every letter has to be studied. They didn't just write. Today we text something, and by the time we send it out, we sometimes regret. They came out with a new thing now in the Androids. If you send an email, it gives you 5 seconds if you want to take it back. You could stop the mailman within 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds to think, should I have sent this or not? Should I have put these words to my boss because I'm leaving? Or maybe I should have worded it differently. Should I have asked for a raise in such a way? Should I have told my brother that I'm upset in such words? I have 5 seconds to think. And most of the time we're not even thinking. But those 5 seconds that they give us to get the email, we're busy texting and answering somebody else's text. The Hubat al-Ibad, they had no printing press. In those days, every word was thought about. You had to dip the kulmus, you had to dip the pen in ink and think till it dries what to write and what you shouldn't write. And of course, you go over it until it got printed. Every word was thought very, very, very thoroughly, and they put a lot of thought into it. And he writes over here, words are not to be taken lightly. He's telling you, this is a subject that a person who wants to worship God, you need this more than anything else. And this subject is bittahon. Trust in Hashem in every single area. In every area? What does that mean? I can jump off the Verzano bridge and God will catch me? Oh, hold on. Who said you can jump off the Verzano bridge? Bittahon is not what you think is bittahon. Bittahon will be defined. Bittahon will learn what is bittahon, when bittahon is good, when bittahon is not good. But you have to have bittahon in every area. How to apply bittahon, what do you need? That's what you got to know. In general, you should write this down as a rule when it comes to midot. You know what the rule is? There's a great book on Musar, also by one of the Rishonim, mean to say preceded Shulchan Aruch, not as old as Hubat al-Ibad, known as Orhot Tzadikim, the ways of the just. That's how they translate it. And they have it translated in English. In his introduction, he writes a very, very important rule. The book Orhot Tzadikim is really a book of ethics, of Musar, of how to properly live life. And he writes over there in Orhot Tzadikim that character traits, are like a person who's cooking a dish. So the first time you come in to make a chalent, so you ask somebody, okay, what are the ingredients? Well, you got to put meat, you got to put barley, you got to put potatoes. Onions, I'm not going to give you my secret recipe, So I'm not going to tell you all the ingredients, but you need spices. That's what makes the whole chalent. You need spices. Okay. So you call up somebody, what are the spices? He tells you, well, you need salt, you need paprika, you need black pepper, you need, let's say you want to make it a little juicy, so you need barbecue sauce, some ketchup, and Oh, okay, so you come. How much of each are you supposed to put? If you don't know, you could mess up the whole dish. And when you do know, that you put a little bit more salt and a little bit less black pepper and just exactly paprika and just a dot of cinnamon. So that will make the whole cholent from a tasty cholent or a horrible tasting cholent. So too when it comes to character traits. All the character traits, as we know, anger or whatever it may be, all these character traits and this specific bitahon are like spices. You have to know how much to put in every situation. And by the way, if you're a person who's allergic, for example, let's say you're allergic to black pepper. So you can't put black pepper in it. You have to see what you can replace it with. And if you're not allergic, but you just, you have a very big sensitivity to salt, so then, okay, we have to put less salt. And if a person, his taste buds are, has ruined over the years from the hot drinks that he drank, whatever it may be, so you have to put it something different. And each person, it has to be each situation. You spice your cholent, you spice a dish based on the circumstance and the situation. And that's the same thing over here when it comes to bitahon and anything of musar. You learn about a subject, you have to know how to apply it. How does it apply to you and specifically? Bitahon is the same thing. The same exact thing. You have to have bitahon Hashem in everything that you do, in all times of your life. How does it apply, and when does it apply? That is a different discussion. That's its own subject. And that's really the course that we will be discussing. Now, I've told you the Habot al-Lebabot. I've told you that this is the most important thing that you need. He's a rabbi that lived 1,000 years ago. So you might say, okay, hold on, time out. And who said that Rabbeinu Bahya, who the author of Habot al-Lebabot from 1,000 years ago, with all due respect, he's a great rabbi and he knows more than me. But who said he has the final word? We know that everything in Judaism is a mahloket. It's a mahloket. It's my favorite line. A guy who is not religious, he starts to become observant, he starts to become Baal Tshuva. Whatever you tell him, he tells you, okay. He runs to do it. All of a sudden, the guy becomes more learned, more religious. Whatever you tell him, he deflects it. He says, mahloket, I hold like the other opinion. So who said Rabbeinu Bahya's opinion is a final opinion? This is the bottom line and we must listen. Maybe there's other opinions, there's a mahloket. And by the way, you might be right. But I want to show you one of the haskamot, one of the people who agreed to Habot al-Lebabot, who stamped and he authorized the Habot al-Lebabot. You've heard of Rabbi Yosef Karo, the author of Shulchan Aruch. He's known as the Beit Yosef. He authored the Beit Yosef. He authored the Shulchan Aruch. So Rabbi Yosef Karo has a book called Magid Mesharim. In Magid Mesharim, Rabbi Yosef Karo records all the teachings that he learned from an angel. If you haven't heard the story, I'll tell you the story in short. I could tell the story in long, I wouldn't have time, so I'll tell you the story in short. Rabbi Yosef Karo got to a level in his life where after he would learn a Mishnah, an angel would come and speak to him. And would start telling him different things, and we start teaching him about different ideas. And when he reached such a level where the angel would come regularly to Rabbi Yosef Karo, and he would learn with him, sometimes he would teach him things, and sometimes he would reprove him, sometimes he would give him some advice. This angel's teachings and advice were recorded by Rabbi Yosef Karo in a very difficult Aramaic, but it's recorded in a book known as Magid Mesharim. It's accessible, you can find it everywhere. It's translated even in Hebrew to make it a little easier. I believe there's also an English translation. In any case, in Magid Mesharim, the angel tells Rabbi Yosef Karo, you should follow that book, Habot al-Lebabot. You should study, you should not let it go. That's the way to serve God, through that book, Habot al-Lebabot. So here you have it, Rabotai. You have the book, Habot al-Lebabot, with the haskama, with the approval of the angel, of an angel from heaven who has given his seal of approval to the book Habot al-Lebabot. That's the book that we're studying. That's the book that we will be using in our course of bitahon. We'll go through the chapters of Habot al-Lebabot, we'll read through all the paragraphs, and as we study, well, we'll bring a lot of different stories, examples, and different things in the discussion of Bittahon. We'll quote from different books in different places, and in cases where it might be a discrepancy of opinion, we'll try to speak about it. We'll try to bring examples that are applicable. And of course, we would love to hear from you. We'd love for you to participate in this course. And that is certain situations. When I teach this, I usually tell everybody, Rabotai, you're going to have a lot of questions. I recommend that your questions wait until the scenario is brought, until we study the whole thing, because really, we will get to it. Don't think that you're an exception. Everybody has some place. And if you would wait till chapter 4, you'll see that a lot of your situations are discussed over there. But yet, nevertheless, if you would like to send in certain situations and how to deal with certain ideas, or perhaps that we should clarify a certain point, please send it in. We'll be more than happy to bring it up in the next class to discuss it more. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll stop here for the introduction, and the next time we meet, we'll be discussing, Be'ezrat Hashem, the benefits of Bittahon, which is really the introduction to Sha'ar Bittahon Hubbat al-Libabot. We'll speak a little bit of few ideas about Bittahon, just to give a little bit of a taste, a flavor of this very, very important subject. And of course, we'll always be reading through the book. So this class will have a dual purpose. Number one is to study the subject of Bittahon, the most important subject of Bittahon. And number two as well is to study it from the book Hubbat al-Libabot, Sha'ar Bittahon, Sha'ar Rabbi, the 4th chapter. Because reading the words inside also, it's very, very important. Sometimes concepts and ideas are spoken about or are discussed and interpreted based on whoever is saying it. Sometimes you go back to the source and you see that perhaps it can be interpreted in a different way, which can make a big, huge difference. So that's why we'll be learning the book together. It's not my preaching. It's basically, we'll be learning together. I'll read from the Hebrew, the original Hebrew, and we'll translate and clarify with many, many, many different sorts of examples.